Okay, just when you think it can't get any worse. Don't say I didn't warn you, because I specifically remember mentioning on our last round of price hikes that this trend would continue, and I'm trying to warn you guys again with it. This trend is likely to continue because it's been going on for years, and Tesla hasn't applied really a price discount to any of their vehicles in over 18 months now. So when the backlogs are this long, there's really no point in lowering prices, because then you're gonna have to factor that in for all of your existing orders. And with the Model Y wait time still being pushed out to a year, sometimes more if you want a cheaper one, absolutely expect these price hikes to continue, which absolutely sucks and is a huge bummer for any of you out there saving up for one right now. And I'll do my best to recommend what I think is of best value, but let's talk about the price hikes themselves. They mostly apply to the long range options, which makes sense, those are the most popular. Model 3 long range went up another $2,000. The Model Y long range, which was already starting at an insane $63,000, went up another $3,000, now starting at $66,000. That sounds wrong saying, but that's literally what it is. It says that on the website now. And the Model Y Performance went up another $2,000, basically meaning that the fastest Model Y you want is gonna cost you $70,000. That's before sales tax and registration and everything. Oh my god. And of course, even more massive price hikes to the Model S and X, with the long-range Model S, the only Tesla capable of going over 400 miles on a charge, got a $5,000 price increase, which means it now starts at $105,000. And the Model X long range went up another $6,000, which, yes, means that every Model X, regardless of if it's long range or plaid, now costs over $120,000. And by the way, that Model X that now starts at over $120,000 is still back ordered over a year. They're almost selling out of that option in 2023. So once again, this absolutely puts in perspective how little of a demand problem Tesla has. So much, in fact, that it's gone the opposite way. Now they have too much demand and can get away with charging these insane price points. But the truth is, it's honestly quite sketchy for them to actually allow people to lock in prices of vehicles that aren't going to be made for over a year. That's what they're worried about. That's why Tesla raises prices so much, because they don't know what the inflationary environment is going to look like in over a year, and they don't know what's going to happen to the price of lithium, the price of nickel. So I'm kind of surprised that they haven't done what Elon said they were going to do and actually start turning off orders on certain models yet. I guess maybe they took my advice and just decided that, well, rather than just turn off orders entirely, we're going to let you keep ordering these vehicles, but if you're trying to, add a dirty plate to the dishwasher's growing collection, you got to pay a premium for it. So Tesla kind of covers themselves profit margin wise by securing orders of vehicles with price points this high. So the long range Model 3, which I used to say was of pretty good value considering it's one of the very few EVs out there that can get over 350 miles on a charge and cost under $60,000, that's slowly starting to not be the case anymore, because the long range Model 3 is sitting at $58,000, which after tax and everything does push it over $60,000. And the truth is, unless you're in dire need of all-wheel drive, I genuinely don't think you're gonna notice that many differences if you opt for the rear-wheel drive Model 3, because it's rocking a lithium iron phosphate battery, which can be charged to 100% regularly. And yes, this is the Model 3 I have on order, so I'm a bit biased here, but all I want to mention is that that rear-wheel drive model did not get any price hikes this time. Like, almost everything else did, except this one, which happens to be the cheapest Tesla, period. You would have thought the cheapest one would go up in price, but no, it's still sitting at $47,000, which does mean there is now an $11,000 price difference between Model 3 rear-wheel drive and Model 3 long range. Download the A Better Route Planner app. They're not sponsoring me or anything, but they give you some perspective on how close the road trip time is between these two vehicles, and I think unless you really are in dire need of a long-range all-wheel drive Tesla, that Model 3 rear-wheel drive is without a doubt the best value Tesla you can get right now, especially considering, like, oh my god, there is a $19,000 price gap between the entry-level Model 3 and entry-level Model Y. Once you factor in for the higher sales tax and everything, basically $20,000 difference between opting for a Y over a 3. This is Tesla's way of ensuring, do you really need a hatchback? Do you really need that crossover? Because if you do, you are absolutely gonna end up paying a crap ton for it. Like, me and my wife originally wanted the Model Y, but quickly started started realizing as the prices started going up that, we've been driving a mid-size sedan for over 5 years now and basically never filled up the trunk, never really run out of cargo space. So a hatchback is nice and we like the higher ride height, but do we like it $20,000 more than we do having just a regular Tesla with a trunk and, you know, a decent amount of cargo space? Yeah, no, we would rather take the money at this point. So another theory I have on why the Model Y long range is getting such high price hikes, besides the fact that yes, the wait times have been pushed out further and Tesla is scared to lock in orders at a certain price point when they don't know what the price of the vehicle is going to be in a year. But also I think they are getting ready to launch the configurator of the Giga Texas Model Y. We've been following people who have taken delivery recently, and there's actually been some customers being offered accelerated delivery. So, you know, they have a Model Y on order and they're waiting for their long range to arrive, but then they get this extra option in checkout that says, do you want a Giga Texas Model Y? The range is worse and the price might even be more, but you'll get your car sooner. Those offers are starting to show up now as far as Florida. So I have a feeling that with this recent round of price hikes, if they launch the Giga Texas Model Y and it's $60,000, that option might start to look a lot more appealing now if you have to spend another $6,000 just to unlock an additional like 50 miles of range. It's not that big a jump. And Tesla's probably trying to gauge demand with how many people are willing to go with accelerated delivery over just keeping with their long range orders. And of course, as we're seeing from the drone footage outside of Giga Texas, they are slowly ramping up production and more Model Ys are being built every single day. That parking lot is filling up with more and more cars. So I'm hoping, I could be wrong, but I'm hoping that within the next 2 to 3 months, they actually update the Model Y configurator with the all-wheel drive standard range option, and you'll be able to order that for $60,000. May not be the best value, of course. I'm still going to recommend the Model 3 rear-wheel drive if you can live with a sedan. But if there's a larger price gap between the long-range and all-wheel drive Model Y, I think the amount of people that are willing to shell out the extra money for long-range may start to dwindle. And then Tesla, again, will have plenty of demand for that Giga Texas Model Y. And I know this whole situation sucks, which is why, honestly, if you're not in dire need of autopilot or Tesla software and full self-driving and that kind of stuff, I would honestly highly encourage a bunch of you guys that I'm sure can't afford these vehicles anymore, check out the competition. I was very impressed with the Ioniq 5 when I test drove it. I still personally think, as far as electric crossovers go, the VW ID4 value is just impossible to beat. If you're able to find one. I mean, they don't have a lot of them in stock, unfortunately, but getting the 3 years of Electrify America charging and over 270 miles of range for sub $50,000, and it's got a decent amount of cargo space. No, it won't fast charge as quickly, but check out the EV charging tests done over on Out of Spec, because they've done competitions where they do these road trips between Teslas and non-Teslas that rely on the Electrify America network, and they've kind of proven that Electrify America is getting pretty good. You know, you can go on great distance road trips with decent fast charging performance if you're willing to go with a Kia EV6 or a Hyundai Ioniq 5, and you'll get to your destination around the same time it would take for you to get there in a Tesla. In fact, if you're a skilled charger, you might be able to beat a Tesla on any particular road trip. It just kind of comes down to where the chargers are, but we're getting to the point now where a lot of superchargers have long waits, and there's a lot of Electrify America stations with not too much traffic because non-Teslas aren't being built at that extreme scale. So, you know, it's a bit hypocritical of me to recommend non-Teslas because, of course, I'm willing to pay that premium because I do want autopilot, I do want supercharging, and above all, I just care about vehicle efficiency in regards to affordability and efficiency. That Model 3 rear-wheel drive is very, very hard to beat. But if that's not as big a concern to you, I think the competition could use some more demand. I know there's a lot of memes and a lot of people hating on the Chevy Bolt, but they just announced a pretty massive price cut so that you can get an EV with over 250 miles of range for $26,000. And with the price of gas right now, the savings on that over the course of 10 years is just going to be incredible. It may not have the best fast charging performance and it may not be a great road trip vehicle, but if you're just looking for a more affordable EV out there, I think the Chevy Bolt is a really hard value to beat at under $30,000 starting now. So just consider the alternatives, because I know a lot of you guys don't want to keep paying for gas. I sure as heck know I don't. And I know that because Teslas are so high in demand and so back ordered, Tesla really has a hard time keeping prices low right now. Again, other than that rear-wheel drive option, they seem to keep that under 50 grand, which I appreciate. But honestly, I have my suspicions on whether or not Tesla is going to keep the LFP battery packs going into that Model 3. they might be able to secure higher profit margins if they start diverting LFP packs into like a rear-wheel drive Model Y, or they might even start making, you know, like standard range Model 3s that are all-wheel drive using 2170 cells that still cost a lot but just have worse range because demand is not a problem right now. So they might be okay making the vehicles less desirable because what's more important is delivering as many vehicles as possible, at least with Tesla's mission statement. Many of you disagree, which is why I encourage you to check out the competition if you don't like the way Tesla's handling things. But once again, thank you to everyone on Patreon supporting this channel directly. Seriously, helps us out a ton, as does just watching these videos. So thanks again, and absolutely expect the Cybertruck to start at $100,000. Bye-bye.